Baik Bapak Ibu, selanjutnya kita akan masuk ke dalam panel session yang pertama dengan topik The New Standard, Elevating the Standard, Elevating the Provision, Elevating Impact. Dan sesi ini akan dimoderatori oleh Ibu Dewi Andriati. Saat ini Ibu Dewi Andriati adalah Head of Internal Audit di Moladin Digital Indonesia. Dan beliau memiliki gelar sarjana ekonomi serta magister akuntansi dari Universitas Indonesia. Ibu Dewi memiliki sertifikasi sebagai Certified Internal Auditor CIIA. Beliau memiliki pengalaman profesional yang juga cukup luas di bidang internal audit dan GRC, di mana sebelumnya beliau bekerja di Link Aja, PricewaterhouseCoopers Indonesia, dan juga PT Aneka Tambang Persero Tbk. Tanpa berlama-lama Bapak Ibu hadirin sekalian, kita berikan tepuk tangan untuk moderator kita, Ibu Dewi Andriati. Kami persilahkan.
Good morning, our beloved guests, speakers, and participants from all across Asia Pacific. Once again, on behalf of IIA Indonesia, welcome to the ACIIA Regional Conference 2024. And welcome everyone to Bali, Indonesia. We are thrilled to have you all here in Bali, where the sun is shining, the wave is crashing, and the Wi-Fi is, well, let's just hope it's good enough for your Instagram pros, everybody. No, I'm just kidding. Actually, the Wi-Fi here is quite very demure and also very insightful. If you know TikToks, yeah. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, today we are very fortunate to have two exceptional our IIASB, International Internal Audit Standard Board, who will be joining us as our panelists today, whereby decision will be a fully and exclusive question and answer session. And we will have Mouri Sang, who serves as the chairman of the International Internal Audit Standard Board, the IIA Standard Setting Board, and also Ibu Angela will also join the panel as the members of IIASB also. So both of them already sit in front of me, and I see they already can't wait to share their insight for us. But before that, let me share a bit and refresh our memory, and also probably some of you who doesn't really catch up with the GIAS or the the Global Internal Audit Standard. I will share a bit our material here, but it will be only like keep this slide very light. Okay? Sorry, can you go to the slide? Okay. This standard, actually, this is a very important standard because this standard is not only a set of rules, but also this is will be our roadmap, our guidance for internal audit profession, that sometimes we as an internal audit knows that there are some gray areas or unknown charters in our internal auditing world. But sometimes we don't know what to do, and this is actually the excellent guidance for all internal auditors all over and across the globe to actually set how internal audit should behave and need what to do, and also think going to the future how this standard will be our guidance as, sorry. Also, this standard will be our compass as our profession will be grow to the future. Okay. First, I would like to briefly introduce you to the International Internal Audit Standard Board. This is the IIA Standard Setting Board, which Mouri and also Angela will be the members of IIASB. The mission is to serve the public interest by developing, issuing, maintaining, and also promoting the global internal audit standard worldwide. The map here actually illustrates the global diversity to the standard board, which actually consists 21 members and also representing 18 countries. All members of the IIASB are certified internal auditors and also high qualified person. They're also selected based on their varied experience as audit practitioner, including working in different regions and also sectors. Probably you don't actually aware that making of this new global internal audit standard, also the IIASB always seeks public input by actively reaching out to receive input from all stakeholders across the globe, including the public also. So this is the timeline of IPPF evolution project milestone, but I won't go into details of these timelines. But the purpose to show the timeline is actually to show this is actually a great project and have been developed as part of larger project named the IPPF evolution, where the standard board actually reflected in the entire international professional practice framework. And also, this is the milestone starting from 2019, and the first draft of the GIAS actually already released back in 2023. Okay, so, but in 2024, the Global Internal Audit Standard has been released in January, and also there are many milestones in 2024, including the release of tools to help members implement the standard that will be effective as of January 2025. So this 12-month period will allow us as internal auditor profession to transition and conform to the new standard. Additionally, the other product as quality assessment manual and also IIA training will be updated and also issued in 2024 and 2025. Okay, next. Now this is the summary of the main changes of the standard. So if you look at the left, this is the existing IPPF, which became effective in 2017. It contains 4 different elements of the mandatory guidance and 2 types of recommended guidance, all surrounded by overarching mission of internal audit. It was a best effort in 2017, but IIA also saw an opportunity to improve the framework further. So that start the project to revise and also enhance the IPPF to become more practical and also applicable to other internal audit functions of various sizes and also maturities across industries and also sectors. Okay. On the right, this is the new IPPF, the 2024 IPPF, which now has the global internal audit standard as its core. The standard actually incorporates all the mandatory elements in the 2017 framework, and guidance also how to implement the standard. The IPPF is still more than standard though. It is also includes the global guidance, which is recommended but not required, as well as topical requirements, which are currently under developed. So this will be new mandatory addition to the framework for the topical requirements. So let's take a closer look at the 5 domains along the 5 principles. So this is the new structure. The core principle from 2017 IPPF are no longer separated elements of the IPPF, but instead the principles are integrated into the standard, into domain 2 through domain 5, as you can see here. Sorry. Okay, next for domain 1, I will just give an overview of each domain. Domain 1 actually consists or contain no principle or standard. So it doesn't contain principle and standard, but it only serves as the purpose of internal audit that captures the essence of our profession in short overview, in one short overview, in one sentence. Domain 2, the principles start with domain 2, ethic and professionalism. Domain 2 actually incorporates and replaces the core of ethic that was separate previously in the 2017 framework. So as well as there was attribute standards in the 2017 IPPF. The domain outlines the behavioral expectation for professional internal auditors. For domain 3, governing the internal audit function, it focused on the relationship between the chief audit executive and the board and senior management. But probably the primary roles in this domain 3 is the CIA and the board, because domain 3 actually groups the standard that emphasize the internal audit function should be authorized, positioned, and also overseen in the organization to be most effective and valuable. Domain 3 places significant emphasis on board oversight. Why? Because the successful implementations of the standard requires buy-in from the board, and the board is actually the ultimate in charge of the governance in the organization. Also, I would like to emphasize that in domain 3, there are some requirements and also essential conditions that provide the strategy and also the structure of an effective relationship between the board, senior management, and also the chief audit executive. For domain 4 actually captures the critical responsibility of the chief audit executive in managing the internal audit function in overall. Yeah. There is also another and last domain, which is domain 5. It principles the organize the duties of internal auditors and the function in every days of performing the internal audit services, that is assurance and also advisory engagement. So I think that's all my little refresher, everyone. So now, ladies and gentlemen, I think it's time to welcome our 2 panelists from the IISB. First up, we have Ibu Angela Simatupang, our president of IIA, which also a members of International Internal Audit Board IIA and directors at the global board of RSM International Limited and a senior partner at RSM Indonesia. Without further ado, please, Bu Angela, come to the stage. Next up, our special guest. Please give a warm welcome to Mr. Naohiro Mouri, the Chairman of International Internal Audit Standard Board, and he is also Executive Vice President and Chief Auditor in AIG based in New York. Please welcome Mouri-san. Mouri-san previously served as the IIA Chairman of the Institute of Internal Auditors Global Board of Directors, Directors of IIA Japan, and past President of Asian Confederation of Institute of Internal Auditors. Okay, let's shake hands and let's meet them together, okay? Thank you. Thank you, Mouri-san, and also Angela, to become here today. Actually, I have prepared some questions. This question actually mostly come from our members in Indonesia. So this is most frequently asked question. But I will for sure will give a chance to our audience also to talk and also discuss or ask Mouri-san and also Angela directly, yeah. Thanks again, Mouri-san and Angela. But before we go into detail, Mouri-san, can you share your experience in the journey of developing the new standard? Probably you can share how actually the process and the journeys in making the JS.
Sure. Hello. Selamat pagi. Assalamualaikum. It's really good to see all of you. I was actually here during my chairman's time, 2018, 2019, so I remember some of you here. So it's good to see you. And you see, I'm wearing batik. And thank you. IIA Indonesia actually gave this to me, so it was actually appropriate for me to dress, this formal attire. So, before I actually answer the question, how many of you have actually read the revised or new standards? Raise your hand. It's a lot less than I expected.
Lesser than expected, yeah.
Yes, so I suggest after this session, you will open up the IIA homepage. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything, just to read. And then understand some of the new standards. I suggest you have read the current standard, right? Yes? 2017, still good. Till January 9th, 2025. Please go to IIA website. There is a document called two-way reconciliation document. So it compares 2017 and 2024 standards. So you can see what are the differences. And that's the good place to start. Now, how many of you, another question, how many of you have actually read the exposure document when it was actually exposed in the beginning of last year? Raise your hand. Okay, only few. Right. So if you read that document, and if you read the current new revised standards, it's completely different document. So it was almost like redoing the whole standards. Now, I became the chairman of the standards board in July 2023. After the exposure was done and the opinions were collected, do you know how many people actually made comments? Take a guess. 19,000 comments came through. We have 245,000 members, right? And that's a small number of comments, but that came around the world, and we have to look at each and every 19,000 comments, and then respond, and then make disposition. So between the time that I became chairman in July 2023, and then we get to the finishing line by the end of the year, that very short period of time was so intense. And I thought the IIA job was my real-time job, as opposed to volunteering. Volunteering, yes, you actually do something from time to time, and then you say yes, right? But no, it felt like a full-time job. I had 3 meetings every week. We met intensively 4 days in Amsterdam, and then we went back to the IA headquarters another 3.5 days in September, and yet we had so much to do, right? It was not funny, to be honest. And I was at one point very worried that we were not actually able to finish. But we had the mad dash toward the end of the year, and then everything got done, so thank God. Thank you for your help. Terima kasih.
So that's the journey. How about from Angela? How can you share your experience in developing this GIA standard?
So Dewi, for me, it's very challenging and rewarding. I'm lucky though. I joined the Standards Board in 2019. So I'm very lucky to experience the entire process from the start until we launch the new standard. I think it's a really one in a lifetime experience to do that. And as Mouri said, there are times that it was very intense, were very intense. It's like another full-time job. We meet so much, very frequent, sometimes multiple times a week. And it's not to mention that we don't do the work only in the meeting. We do the work outside the meeting as well. So it's a lot of work. And I'm very grateful that I am able to experience these, meet with professionals from a diverse background, insight, views, and see that we all have the passion to really deliver something that is valuable, that will raise the bar for all internal auditors. And I think, I myself is very proud to be part of the group that developed this global standard.
Oh, you have it. Yeah.
Yeah, I know from the stories, Angela and Sang, how the process and also the milestone that we just saw, right, from 2019. But I didn't realize that much of patience and commitment also from the IIASB to set the standard. Not only commitment, but also probably patience, yeah, Mouri, Sang, and also Angela. And yeah, the result is the high qualified global internal audit standard for our professions, yeah. And we need to thank to Mouri, Sang, and also Angela that setting the standard with high quality for all of us here. Thank you, Mouri, Sang, and Angela. So as I said before, I have prepared some questions, but I will share also later on with the audience if they want to ask directly to Mouri, Sang, and also Angela. So my first question probably to Mouri. We saw probably also the audience already read about the GIAS, and in the titles or introductions of the GIAS, Mouri, Sang, IIA stated that we are committed to setting the standard with input from the public and to benefit the public. So probably some of the audience also didn't really know what that means, to benefit the public. Can you share your thoughts on this benefit to public, Mouri-san?
Sure. First of all, I think you need to be very clear about what we meant by internal audit serving the public interest, and the standards are written with the public interest in mind. Any standards around the world is made for what? For its own profession, the IA standard is. And then internal auditors sitting around this room are all working for an organization that one way or another serve the public interest. So what is the public interest? If you're a bank, whoa, it's not the earthquake, right? Sorry. It's okay. Or if you're working in the insurance company like ours, like me, then we serve for the policyholders, we serve the customers who gets benefit. If you're working in the government entity, by design, you serve your people, right? That, to us, is a public interest. So if you read the standards, standard clearly says internal audit needs to help the organization that serves the public interest. So in the Indonesian context, for instance, OJK, thank you so much for your help, provides the guidance to the financial institution, who actually will guide the financial institutions how to serve their customers. And then when OJK actually uses standards to tell the financial institutions, internal audit, what to do, that is actually helping us to serve the public interest. I hope you understand this concept. It's very important for us to have that in mind. But for the private industry, that doesn't mean that internal auditors directly serving the public interest, okay? So it is indirect, because if you're a bank, if you're an insurance company, if the internal control works properly to help serve the customers or policyholders, by design, you are helping the public interest.
So by design, actually we are helping also the public interest also.
Yes,
Yeah. But
yes. So it is a little difficult concept, but if you look at around the globe, all the standards that exist are actually serving public interest in mind.
But additional question, Mouri, how does actually the IISB ensure that the standard is meeting the interests of the public itself? How to oversight or overseen it from the internal auditors?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
I mean, how the IISB ensures that the standard is in the interest of the public?
Yes. So we are actually setting few criteria to gauge how the standards is actually serving the public interest by accessing to international organizations such as OECD or Intosai or the other standard-setting bodies or government bodies, how they would actually refer to the new standards by the premier standards that their members should follow. That's one way. And then we also want to start gauging how each one of you actually use the standards. How do we actually gauge that? Because you do external quality assurance review. And then many cases you will disclose the result. And we will try to find a way to collect that information, either through the IIA bodies or survey, so that we can gauge that implementation or use of the standards for your organization.
So meaning that the quality assessment for internal audit also like very important to show
Yes.
that the internal audit already serve for the public interest. Okay, thank you, Mouri, for the explanation. Probably I'll go next question to Angela. So we see actually a lot of changes in the GIAS, right? And one of the changes actually, there is a concept called comply or explain. So also the consideration in the public sectors and also for the small audit functions, Angela. Can you share with us a bit of these terms, actually, what really means?
Thanks, Dewi. I think for those who have read the standards or who have not read the standards, the concept itself is there in the Standard 4 and in Domain 3, and also in the foundation of the principle itself. The conform or comply or explain or confirm or explain is actually a new concept introduced in the standard because we understand that occasionally internal auditors might not be in conformance with the standard, but still meet the intent of the principle. So it's not that I just don't conform, but we do additional action, we design plan to mitigate or to still achieve our principles if we cannot conform to this standard. And we need to explain why we do not meet that standard. So I think this will drive more conformance for the future because it opens up to situations that we understand that people sometimes could not confirm, but yet still can achieve the intent of the principle. So we need to understand the intention of the standard and the principle. We need to really understand it so that in a situation where we could not conform to the standard on one or more standard, that is, then we need to be able to identify what we need to do to go through that so that we can still achieve what we want to achieve.
Can I just add on this? So I don't know if you understand this concept, comply or explain, right? So let's say if your organization is a family-oriented organization and then your board of directors or audit committee doesn't want to do certain things, like, approving the audit plan or, meeting with you or supporting you. Now, Domain 3 actually does require chief audit executive to engage with the board and audit committee, and as Dewi said, essential conditions require you to engage with the board and audit committee and then be able to do certain things because you need their support. But if you cannot get that because of the structural impediments or certain things that you are unable to do, right? But like Andrea said, your intention is to conform to that. Now, in those situations, when you have external assurance review comes in, and then you have discussion with that assessor, and then you said, well, here's a structural issue. I cannot do things, even though I want to do things. And then that's the concept of comply or explain. Now, obviously, you won't get to the full conformance in that certain cases because of the certain limitation. However, you will still be able to respond to the conformance.
Can I just add one more thing? It doesn't mean that conformance is not expected. It is expected. It's just that we understand that situation might, pose some challenges, and you have the chance to find another route to achieve the intent of the standard, and just explain that that you will improve that in the future.
So I think in a way we need to still conform with the standard, but probably there are some condition or situation that probably we cannot we cannot guarantee that it's theirs, then we cannot comply with the principle of the standard. So it can be flexible, but you need to explain, right? Okay. I have another question, probably for Mouri. About this is also questions that very much asked from our audience and members in Indonesia, Mouri. This is regarding our domain 1 and 2, whereby actually this states the purpose of internal auditing and also emphasize the professionals' ethics. Now, seems like this is a heavy burden for our internal audit profession. So just wanted you to share how actually internal auditors can deliver this purpose and also the professional ethics in
Right.
general.
Good question. So, first of all, domain 1, very few of you have read it, so please do go and read it, does not have any requirements, meaning that there isn't anything that says you must do this, right? Domain 1 is a purpose, but it actually drives and directs internal auditors. It is a very important part of the standards. So you must really understand what's written. All the other domains will actually follow to support the domain 1. And by the way, domain 1 was the remit of the global board. So Salian sitting here actually helped us decide the domain 1. Thank you. And domain 2, what used to be the ethical standards, code of ethics, sorry, and then the others actually combined together. Two things that I would actually emphasize when you're reading it. Pay attention to professional skepticism and professional courage. These are new things, right? As you ask me a question, what are these things? So professional skepticism, those who are external auditors probably understand, right? How many of you are external auditors? Raise your hand. None of you? Uh-oh. But anyway, so you have to really come into the mindset that something may be wrong. So you really have to be objective. You really have to take a look at things. Don't take everything for granted of what you hear, what you see. You always have to question, is this correct? Are they telling you the truth? So that's professional skepticism. Professional courage is even more difficult. As an auditor, you find things through your work, and then sometimes the truth is painful. Sometimes truth is something that your stakeholder doesn't want to hear. If I find, I'm a chief auditor, if I find my boss, chief executive officer is doing something wrong, something out of line of the rules, regulations, what is my responsibility? Is to face him and then tell him that he is doing something wrong, which is very painful. Sometimes it could actually end up my being fired, right? But to protect me from being fired, if I actually tell the truth to my boss and then he or she doesn't like me, is that I have direct reporting line to the audit committee, right? So if I tell audit committee that I have different opinion to my boss who has ability to fire me, so that's why the only audit committee can fire me, not my CEO. That's how we maintain independence. But this is the defining moment as internal auditor, that you are the conveyor of the facts. You have to tell the facts to protect the organization, not to protect a certain individual, okay? So this is difficult, right? I always tell myself, okay, when is it the time that I have to tell my boss tough message and then I'm ready to be fired? You really have to have this commitment to do what we do it right. It's not easy. That's why internal audit is not an easy profession. But that's what the standard is actually asking you to do.
Very relate to that. Probably Angela wants to add
I just
about the
add a bit
ethic and also.
on that. I think integrity is the foundation of all, and integrity is either you have it or you don't. So if any one of you in your organization have a performance evaluation scorecard that range from 1 to 5 and put integrity also 1 to 5, I don't think it's right. It's either you have it or you don't. There's no middle integrity. Oh, this person okay, so integrity 3. No. So it's either you have it or you don't. So, and the courage, the ethics, I think it's all based from integrity. And our role, our profession, as Mouri said, it's a challenging profession. We need to have that integrity, we need to have that courage. Because as Mouri said, we need to be able to speak when there are issues and not only able, but have the courage to speak, even if it's painful, even it's conflicting to you. It's a personal dilemma. So I think what you need to do in terms of the professional courage, Dewi, you need to be able to speak truthfully, accurately, but also respectfully. We need to be able to treat people respectfully, although with different views, and have the courage and the bravery to do what is right and say what is right.
I'm very relate to that actually. This is a very easy to say, but it's very hard to implement, right? I'm sure that a lot of our colleagues here also feel the same thing. But I experience also myself when it comes to the integrities and also ethics and courage. That's our duty, right? That's our duty as internal auditor. So we must speak it even though it's painful, like Mouri and also Angela said. But at the end, if we report it to the right persons in the organization, like audit committees or the president directors, usually they will know. And they will, if they have a good sense of governance, they will actually support us. Yeah. Okay. Probably I'll just stop here first. I will invite some participants who would like to ask Mouri-san or Angela directly, or you have any concerns or anything that regarding usually.
There's a hand over there.
Yeah. Okay.
Over there.
Pak. Yeah.
I know we're between you and lunch, so we try to make this quick, right? I'm sure many of you are hungry.
Thank you, Pak. Probably you can say your name and also company.
Yes, thank you very much for appointing me. My name is Tony Ichikawa. I represent the Nissin Food, which is the largest instant noodle company in Japan. Thank you very much for the nice presentation. So I have a question, and may I propose? I understand the concept of the standard this time. On the other hand, in my capacity as a CA in Japan, I have noticed some key difference in the corporate governance system between Japan and the US. So maybe it's because of the or legal distinction and the cultural norm and the economical background. I understand the situation. On the other hand, IIA's new standard IPPF framework required strict adherence to the IIA framework. It seems like that makes it difficult for us to comply with the IIA standard. So I have a question. And I'd like to ask if is it possible to consider some slight modification to IIA standard to fit the regional the corporate governance style. For example, how about creating a regional guideline to comply with the regional governance system or something like that? For example, IIA Japan, they could create a regional guideline to fit the Japanese type of the corporate governance. Is it possible or acceptable from your global policy point of view? Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for the question. Probably to summarize the question, what I get is he's asking about
Yes, I understand
the
that
implementation.
question.
Yeah, probably Mouri first
So,
and Angela.
the answer, the quick answer is no. The standard is global, but it is, you can consider it as a minimum requirement. And then as Angela and I explained to all of you, it's comply or explain, right? So there is actually room for you to explain. And I am sure that if there is a certain regional or local specific differences that exist, the respective IIA organization will work with the standards board to see if there is a guidance that can be issued to that specific population. But it doesn't mean that we are actually changing the standard itself, right? It is a guidance. And how you would actually conform to the standards in that particular jurisdiction with a different governance construct.
Angela, want to add?
I just add a bit, maybe. The difference of governance is everywhere around the world. I think that's why the standard board comprises of so many people from different countries. I think we know that there's no uniform governance.
We had the Japanese representative as well.
Yeah, we have Japanese representative.
Me included.
Yeah, Mouri excluded from that Japanese representative as well, right? So there's more than one, actually. So Indonesia is also different from the, say, from the U.S. Corporation or structure. We have a different governance. We have a two-board system governance, which are different. And our government entity is also different. Sometimes have one system, two system. So I think the new standard allow us to have interpretation of the standards. So we can really understand what it is, and we can say if it's not, if it's really not correct as it is, we can say in the conformance and explain. But especially for definition on those in charge of governance, we actually have several options who can be defined or categorized as those in charge of governance because of those different jurisdictions, so that these global standards really can be applied globally.
And we also, if you read the fundamentals, which is actually the first section of the standards, it actually talks about the small audit functions, that many of us actually small audit functions. Perhaps there are some limitations as to what you can do, right? And then we also mentioned, included first time in the standards history, the public sector. So the government construct of the governance structure is different from the private sector. They may not have clear board of directors. They may not have certain functions that you would expect to have in private sector. So that is also covered with a new standard. So we try to cover different segments of the professional bodies within this standard. So as Angela mentions that if you look at the consideration for the conformance and an example of conformance, then you can actually see there are different things that you could do to conform to the standards.
Okay, I think it's already answered the question.
Yeah,
Probably-
thank you very much. So there, maybe we don't have enough time to discuss about this issue. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you,
And,
sir.
Thank you.
I see some raised hands also over there. Probably we can take one by one. Okay.
Okay, thank you very much for the opportunity, Mr. Hiro and Ibu Angela. My name is Yusuf Darmawan. I'm from Indonesia Financial Group, or IFG Life, as head of audit quality assurance. So after I read the new standard of the International Professional Practices Framework that is released in the 2024 and will be implemented in 2025, I found the interesting things in domain 2. That in the previous standard, we have 4 code of ethics like integrity, objectivity, confidentiality, and of course about consistency. And in the new standard, we have 5. That's the new member is do professional care. The question is why? Why we have to exercise do professional care and how we can do it for the best. And the second question for Ibu Angela, in the domain 3 we have the point of enhanced quality. Nah, pertanyaannya selain kita melakukan quality check yang isinya itu kemungkinan hanya parameternya apa dan checklistnya seperti apa, kemudian untuk enhancingnya sendiri Bu, kira-kira setelah kita punya checklistnya, kita tahu ada yang sudah terpenuhi, ada yang belum, itu next step-nya apa ya Bu? Untuk memastikan bahwa ini tidak sekedar ada gitu, tapi memang ini berguna untuk peningkatan internal audit. Thank you.
So he's asking about how the quality assessment going forward in the futures, and also the domain 2 about the professional ethics, why we need to apply those. Yeah. And also
So the question was why we have to apply do professional care. You can answer that as well. And the second one is also how we make the quality assessment have benefit for future, for longer terms, and not just a checklist. Is that correct, Pak? Yeah. So I'll go first, and then Mouri can add also, or you want to add first? No?
Yeah, you go first.
Okay. Why do we want to apply do professional care? Are we professional or not? Professional meaning that we need to ensure that our work is right, is accurate, is clear, is not misleading. We are not being untruth or, just giving false information. Do professional care is part of our responsibility in our work so that our deliverable is really accountable. We are accountable to that. It is, I think, one of the things that we need to ensure as part of our profession. And professional means you're accountable. You do the right thing as to the standard, and you are proud of your work. So it's really important that we do that. Mouri will add also on this one. And the quality assessment, I think, is we need to understand that it is, at first, we need to understand it is not a checklist. So if we still think with the mindset that a quality assessment review is a checklist, then we need to change that. Because what we want to see from the quality assessment review is whether we have confirmed and with quality, whether our work conform to the standard and whether it have quality or not. And it's really not a checklist. It's really something to keep you on the right track and to assist you in getting better and better all the time to achieve your goal. I don't think that you will have 100% conformance at all time or compliance. So it's not a checklist. We have some hiccups every point of a way. That's why we say it's conformance. We said that we can still apply the standards. We achieve the standard. There might be some minor weakness, but it's not impairing the application of the standards. But we need to do it, not really seeing it as a checklist first. But that's the mindset that we need to change. From that result, one I said is to maintain the level of the quality and performance of your function. The second is to bring you further and beyond to be able to deliver value, not add value, deliver value. Because add value means it's just adding something to what's already there. But if you deliver value, you will be indispensable. We want internal auditors to be indispensable, right? So we need to be performing due professional care in our work, and we need to maintain our quality, and we need to confirm with the highest standard. More you want to add?
Yes. So external quality assurance review or any type of quality assurance review is to answer one question. Who audits auditors? We audit everyone else but us. We can't because we are doing audit. And if we do audit ourselves, that's actually in conflict. And then we can't be objective. So we really have to have someone looking at us and say, yes, you're doing the right thing. And in order for someone to say, yes, you're doing the right thing, we need standards to gauge the level of service or how we do things and what we do things. And that's the reason why we actually do external quality assurance review. Very simple. Do professional care, simply put, means if someone who has qualification, let's say CIA, like me, and if you have a CIA, if you actually do the same work, would you be able to get to the same documentation, same conclusion? If you can't, which means you're doing less, or perhaps you're doing more, not sure. More, not a problem, less, problem. So that's why, as a profession, as Andrea said, we really have to be able to produce and provide the same level of service to a stakeholder. And due professional care ensures us to do that. That's why it is so important concept for both external quality assurance review and due professional care. Because that's what your stakeholders will get. All of us who are doing internal audit service is getting paid by the organization, right? What do they expect us to do is to provide the quality work to them. Find things that matters to the organization that help to enhance or protect the organization, right? If we cannot do that, then we are actually doing less service to the organization. And that is not what, as a profession, we want to do.
Okay, I think it's already clear. I will take another question, probably from the floor.
Yes.
Yeah,
Before we go to the question,
yeah.
can I just say one thing that's also a very important concept in the standards? I know that we are over time.
That's okay.
So standards actually has something called audit strategy. Okay, this is something new, something perhaps you're not very familiar with. Let me give you a very simplistic explanation of what audit strategy means. So, you know, Salian talked about the cyber security, other threats, digital transformation, and use of artificial intelligence. When you think about using AI, you can't do this over the next few months, but you have to think long term, and then you have to actually think about your organizational structure, how you're going to implement, how you train people. You need a strategy, right? And then when you actually train your auditors, you bring in new people, you train them, you actually promote them, you need talent strategy. These are the strategies that standard is actually calling for. So it's not a single year audit plan, that's different. Because organization does new processes, businesses, it changes. You really have to be able to adjust and adapt to what organization is willing to do. You know, sustainability, SDGs, ESGs, all important. How do you respond to what organization needs internal audit to do? You have to have strategy, multi-year plan of how you're going to do this year, next year, year 3. And that's the strategy that the standard is actually asking.
Thank you, Mouri-san. Very insightful. But since you also mentioned about internal audit strategy, probably I have additional questions. So the internal audit strategy, is it the same with internal audit vision or not? So you're mentioning about long-term strategy, right? The same as internal audit mission or vision or not?
Efficient.
Vision.
Internal audit.
Vision and mission.
Mission. Sorry.
Vision and mission of the internal audit.
Okay.
Whether it's, can we call it internal strategy, audit
somehow this stage actually the sound bounces, so I can't hear you very well. I apologize. So strategy also includes efficiencies, the implementation, automation, artificial intelligence, talent strategies, and some of you may be considering co-sourcing, outsourcing, right? Those are the strategies, very important part of what you're going to be thinking and sharing that conversation with your stakeholders, board, audit committee. And that you really have to have clear ideas in mind and plan how you want to do this. Because otherwise you're not going to be able to do things, you know? But if you don't like to do that, if you just continue to do the annual plan and then be able to actually do just audit work, that's fine. But if you continue to do that, that's called status quo. World is moving on, AI is coming in to take your testing positions, you're going to fall behind. You will. So that's why we all have to have strategy in order to keep ourselves current, keep ourselves relevant to the organization. We are the service to the organization. We're looking at the controls of the organization. Therefore, we have to work along with what the stakeholders are doing.
Making progress, like, basically,
Yes.
yeah. Not
Yes,
doing,
indeed.
do the
Very
same
important.
thing. Yeah, continuously. Okay,
I
I
saw
saw
some hands
two
up.
gentlemen
Yes.
over there raising hand.
Yes, I know.
Yeah.
Right? Lunchtime. Yes. Oh, by the way, did you notice my socks? This is the IIA socks.
Wow. Notice as well.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
go ahead, Pak.
Okay. My name is Randy from Pertamina International EP. Can you hear me clearly, Mouri?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, I would like about the domain tree regarding the principle number 7, organizational independence. So as I remember in the IPPF, there are no exactly mentioning about dual reporting relationship between the CAE and to the board and also the CEO. But as I remember that in the FAQ, in the IIA website, and also in the IIA Learning Kit, we always remember that regarding the dual reporting relationship. How can you describe or can you interpret in the new GIA standard? Is it still the same or is it different? Because in the GIAs, it mentions regarding as long as the CAE reports to the executive management, it's still okay. So there are a lot of conditions right now in our company that the CAE is not directly, administratively reporting to the CEO, but to another executive management. So does it mean in the new standard, is it acceptable or not? Thank you.
Okay, got it. So this is actually the question about independence and then how you operate, right? How do you ensure independence if you don't report outside of your executive team? And like I said, in my previous conversation, if I actually have different opinion to my CEO or CFO or CAO or COO, and they have the ability to fire me, they will fire me. And then that's the end of the story, and then the organization will go down, right? Because I find something that's important that creates problem with the organization, and if that problem is not solved, then that's bad for the organization. That's why independence for internal audit is so important. That if I have difference in opinion, I'll go to the audit committee. Now, within the organization, who do I report to? CEO, CFO, CAO. Sometimes I see general counsel, depending on the organization. We do have ways to see that what is appropriate for your organization, right? Sometimes chief audit executive is also serving as a chief risk officer or chief compliance officer. There is a way that you can protect that and then still maintain independence. So that's actually very clear, right? That we do actually allow that to happen. But in order to maintain your independence, you really have to have some sort of reporting line outside of the executive team, because otherwise, you will actually end up not maintaining the independence.
I think
Want to add?
I'll add a bit, yeah. If we look to the standard, you can see that who should we report to? The ideal one, if people or stakeholders really want to have the benefit from internal audit, we need to report to the highest governing body or bodies, yeah? It is allowable also in the standard in a circumstance like in Indonesia where we have more than one body, we can report to two bodies, so not only one. So there is a definition there where we can report to them both. However, to determine who is appropriate or defined as the highest governing body, then you need to identify who give you the mandate, who give you the authority, who set up your role. Then you can find who is actually the highest governing body in your organization or bodies. So it could be plural, depending on the nature of the organization, the jurisdiction, the legal framework, etc. So that's why actually the standard is designed and developed to meet all size and all type of organization anywhere in the world.
Yes, and it says time's up, so I guess this is it, right? So
I know the time is up, but there is also one gentleman over over there in the back that's still raising hand. Do we still have time a bit?
Okay.
Can
I
take
mean, as
one
long
more,
as you...
one more question and also another question, one
Yes.
question from the
Yes.
platform. Oh yeah, Pak, yeah. Please stand up. Stand up. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for the opportunity. My name is Irfan from Pertamina Hulu Energy. So my question is actually what drive the establishment of the GS standard? Is it to ensure the comprehensiveness of the standard to be applicable to all organizations, or are there certain or emerging concern or risks that need to be addressed quickly by establishing the standard? Yeah, thank you.
I think I'll let the chair answer this. Why we developed the new standard? Why?
Why we developed the new standards? Because we wanted to. That may sound like a stupid answer, but that's actually true. We do actually refresh standards because the world has changed. Remember, so the last update was 2017. So from 2017 to today, what has changed? What has changed? Generative AI, the climate, cyber security, third-party risk management, fraud. There's so many changes. We cannot keep up with the standard with the old one and still being able to do that. So standards actually requires periodical refresh and adjust and adapt to the current environment. And that's really the biggest reason why we actually updated the standards and make it practical. Because 2017 standard is still the circle, sphere, right? 2024 is still sphere, but it looks very different. 2017 standards has different parts, whether it's the mission, whether it's the code of ethics, and it's all in principle were not aligned to the standard itself. So we had lots of problems with 2017 standards. So now everything is aligned. Everything has actually detailed information. So if you take that, and if you actually don't have the charter, we've also given you the model charter, but if you want to adapt the standards as is for your audit organization, you can, because it's so practical, right? So that's really the, I was trying to make fun out of saying yes because we wanted to, but yes, that's what we wanted to achieve.
Okay. So we want to and we need to, right? There's another, probably this is the last question from the audience. This is coming from our platform, Maurisang.
Yes.
From Irfan Dwi Putra. So he's asking about how to build strong relations between auditors and how can we use this massive resource to be optimized. Probably both of you can answer, but probably Maurisang first and then Angela.
What's GCG?
Good corporate governance.
I'm actually trying to understand. This is a question about the multinational organization or the between entities. I don't understand the entities.
I would guess maybe Pak Irfan is from
So
a
you
group
have
of
the
companies.
the holding company or
Yeah.
the operating company.
I
First
would,
of all, I mean, everything we do is sensitive information, but we can certainly share we can dilute the facts and then become really common conversation about what control broke and then how that's been fixed. That information is available. Like you can make the study cases for your organization, then share that, and then work with it. I'll give an example. So my organization, AIG, operates in 70 different countries, different legal entities, different around the world, but we have single set of audit standards within ourselves, single charter, and then we share everything within AIG, right? Because we can. And because we obviously will protect certain personal information or PIIs when we share, but still we can do that and then still be able to achieve the same goal. And we have single set of the talent management, single set of the database for controls, and single set of the platform for auditors to use. So that is possible.
Okay, Angela, want to add?
So I'll just add a bit. Maybe this relates to if a different group of auditor from sister companies within a group of companies. And then they want to work together, build strong relationship, but their work is categorized as top secret. Building strong relationship does not mean you tell everyone everything. I think it's different. You can still share information that it relates to the area of the work. I think it doesn't matter, it's right. But not to spill out any information that is not in the domain of the current work that you are performing with that auditor or with that auditor in other sister companies. But when you are assigned to work together, you can share information only related to information you gathered during the course of work. It's natural, right? I think we need to be honest, that is part of our ethics and professionalism standard, but honest does not mean disclosing confidential information. Confidentiality is also part of our ethics and professionals. So bear in mind that building strong relationship does not mean that you have to spill out every information and knowledge you have about other entities that not relate to the current work that you are both doing together. It's not the purpose. If you think that it's not doable, I'm really giving you an example from an audit firm. It's one firm have many people servicing many entities. One team does not share what they know about the client to other team. So that's what we need to do as internal auditors in the group holding as well. But unless you are working on a sign together, then you share information only on that information of the object of the audit that you are performing, not other information. I think that is very clear. That is part of our confidentiality requirement.
Okay, thank you, Angela.
Can I say
Maurice?
something in
Oh.
closing?
Okay,
Yes.
thank you. Please, please.
Oh, well, you're going to say it. Yeah. So I really thank you for many of you who stayed despite the temptation of going to lunch. And many of you are still awake. We didn't put you to sleep. So thank you, Telemakashi. And I'll still be around. So if you, and today and tomorrow, and both me and Angelo, so if you can catch us and then, ask questions, I'm sure you have thousands of questions. So thank you.
Thank you, Maurice-san, Angela-san. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we need to wrap up this session. Thank you very much, Maurice-san and also Angela. You have both inspired all of us here to prepare for the GIAS implementation next year. Yeah. Thank you very much, and give them once again a very round applause for both of them. Thank you.
Terima kasih kepada moderator dan juga para pembicara. Would you like to stay on the stage for a token appreciation? Kami mohon kesediaan dari Bapak Subagio Cahyono untuk berkenan menyerahkan token apresiasi kepada para pembicara, kepada Ibu Angela Indirawati serta Mr. Naohiro. Thank you. Would like to deliver our thank you to Mr. Naohiro. Dan berikutnya terima kasih kami sampaikan kepada Ibu Angela Indirawati. Sekali lagi kita berikan tepuk tangan Bapak Ibu hadirin sekalian untuk para pembicara dan juga moderator kita pada hari ini. Kami persilahkan untuk kita berfoto bersama terlebih dahulu. Baik, terima kasih. Kami persilakan untuk dapat kembali ke tempat.